Good day, students. This is an example of a program that implements inheritance. On the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see the specifications of the program. On the right-hand side, the coded solution. If you read the specifications on the left-hand side, it talks about employees. The program must calculate the salaries of employees. It states that all employees, you need to capture the name, ID number, and marital status of all employees. Further on, it says your employees. At this stage, you should be able to distinguish between your different classes. Videos 1, 2, and 3 from chapter 11, if you watch those, you'll see that for the superclass, you need to identify the common properties. In this case, it says here clearly that the name, ID number, and marital status are attributes of all employees. So that's quite clear. Further on, you can have a look at your output. Normally, it gives you an indication of the common name, ID number, marital status, and there's an age as well in the output of the full-time employees as well as the part-time employees. Be careful now not to add age as one of your attributes, because you can calculate the age from the ID number. Also, in the specifications, it doesn't indicate that you have to add the age as an input value. So therefore, only the name, ID number, and marital status will be your superclass attributes, because it's common properties. Because it's applicable to both subclasses. We will code that in our superclass. Please remember that the whole purpose of inheritance is to get rid of duplicate code. That is why we will calculate the age of our employees in the superclass and not separately in the full-time class as well as in the part-time class. The code for calculating the age will look exactly the same, whether it's a full-time or part-time employee, and that's another indication to the superclass, so that it's coded only once. That's the purpose of inheritance, to get rid of duplicate code for the purpose of many things, but also for debugging. So if you have an error in your calculate age method, for instance, you don't have to correct the error in a lot of places. You will only correct it in your superclass. The other classes will then use the method that they inherit from the superclass. All right, so now we're ready to go. We understand the salaries of the workers. We have two types of employees. The superclass will at least have the attributes that we've discussed now. So in the next part of your assignment, it tells you to write, it actually gives you the steps that you follow. Even if only the introduction was provided, the steps will start with coding your superclass. We already established we said age will be calculated and not be an attribute. Encapsulation will be applied here because we will declare these attributes as private. Encapsulation means you are hiding information from other classes. It's one of the features of object-oriented programming. So we stick to that rule. All the attributes in whatever class we declare will be private. The way to access those attributes will be through our getters. So that takes us to the constructors and methods that we need to code. Again, if you watched the fourth video, for video number 4 on chaining constructors, it explains clearly why you need to have a no argument or a default constructor coded in your superclass. So please watch that video again to see the necessity of a default constructor being coded. Other methods that you need will and also, sorry, you need the parameterized constructor as well, of course. Then you need your accessor methods, the getters, because getters to get hold of the information from other class, if you need it in other classes. Then you need the calculate age. It's specified here how you should calculate that. Then another thing is you need the string married, or a method that will convert the M for married to the word married, and the S needs to be converted to the word single. How do we know that? If we word married is displayed and the word single is displayed, not the character M and S. So you need a method to do the conversion. That's also in your superclass because you need it in all your other classes, and the code will be exactly the same. So you put it in your superclass so that you can inherit it from other classes, from your superclass, if you need it in other classes. Last, many times before, you code it as you normally code it. They give you the example of what needs to be displayed as part of this assignment. Let's quickly look at our solution on the right-hand side of your screen in the employee class. So first of all, at the top, you have your private instance field. You have your default constructor coded and constructor coded. It's similar than the code we did before, so there's nothing new there. Then you have all your getters. We are used to coding those. You have the calculate age method. I'm not going to go into detail. You know how to code that, I'm sure. Then you have your toString married method with its code, and you have your toString method. Everything many times before. So the superclass doesn't really have something new. The only trick is to establish what should be placed in the superclass and what not. All right, so from here, we'll go to our subclasses, and that will be discussed in the next video.